What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are finally diving into the Gundam side story, Space to the End of a Flash. This time, we will learn about the 16th Autonomous Corps, who focuses their attention on the moon, while Revel pushes towards Zeon's homeland. We will learn about Luce and Ford, two new Gundam pilots, and we will see a new Pegasus-class ship. So let's get into this. December 2nd, UC-0079. The Federation has pushed Zeon back into space. White Base heads into space before Revel's fleet. However, a smaller unit launched behind the main fleet. This is the 16th Autonomous Unit, consisting of two Salamis-class ships and the new Thoroughbred. Ford Romfellow is piloting Gundam Unit 5, and Luce Kassel is piloting Unit 4. The RX-78-5 Gundam Unit 5, also known as G05, is the successor to the Gundam, which focuses on space combat. This unit has an upgraded backpack and enhanced thrusters. Operating time was also extended. Its main weapon is the heavy Gatling gun, used to support G4 during cooldown. This unit has the magnetic coating. Weapons include the XBRM-79H2 Hyper Beam Rifle, 60mm Vulcans, a beam saber, a hand beam gun, a hyper bazooka, and a shield. G5 doesn't have the core block system. The RX-78-4 Gundam Unit 4, also known as G4, is also the successor to the Gundam and is very similar to G5. It doesn't have a core block system and has the same backpack and booster enhancements. However, this has a bigger generator on the backpack to compensate for the power needed for the Mega Beam Cannon. It also has additional cooling. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a beam saber, a hand beam gun, the XBRM-79H2 Hyper Beam Rifle, a hyper bazooka, and a shield. This too has magnetic coating. They end the mock battle. The mobile suit operator is Miyu Takazawa. She tells the two to return to the ship. The captain of the ship is Lombard Kilstein. He should retire, but has been inspired to continue on after his son died at the Battle of Loon. This was originally a testing unit for Augusta Labs, but has shifted to active combat. Their mechanic is Private First Class Annie Breivik. She is mad that Ford is putting too much strain on the vernier thrusters and use the AMBAC at 100%. Ford, the G5 pilot, says, "Yeah, but I killed the enemies." Luce wasn't as rough as he was. Luce is more experienced, but he says that Ford has something that he doesn't. A hairline that isn't receding? Miyu tells him of the briefing. The captain tells them of Operation Symbolo. Remember, the Fetty Fleet's goal is to push towards the L2. After the solar ray was fired, it ran this operation. They tricked Zeon fleet into thinking they were heading to Granada and the homeland, when in reality they were heading towards Abawaku. That is when the plan changed up and they began Operation Star 1. Unlike Revel, Joaquin, and Bright, this team is focusing on stealth. They are putting a lot of faith into the two Gundam pilots. Maybe too much for how sloppy Ford has proven himself so far. Even in the next scene, we see Ford getting high scores in the simulator, but he sees this all as a game. The red alert goes up. A scouting fleet is approaching, and they can't reveal their location. Minovsky particles are at combat levels. They also have a gun cannon team that launches ahead of the Gundams. Since this is their first battle, Miyu doesn't say take care of the unit. She tells them to come back alive. The Salamis ships are carrying public-class ships as well. They move in on the Zeon fleet. They take out a few Zakus, followed by one Musai. The Thoroughbred does a long-range bombardment. The Gundams take out the bridge of the final Musai, eliminating the target. Their maiden battle was a success. Even though they won, the captain is frustrated with the two's skills. The two pilots need to focus on cornering fleet ships. The two wonder what is the ETA on their special weapon set. The G4's Mega Beam Cannon is unstable, but G5's giant Gatling gun is good to go. The Gatling gun is designed to cover G4 during the Mega Beam Rifle's cooldown. Captain Kilstein gives the two a lesson about how German U-boats were a menace during World War II. Be more like the U-boat. Ford says, "Hey, are you calling me a boat? I think this guy is dumb." They need to learn to sneak up on their opponent. Meanwhile, at Granada, Jake Guns and May Cowan barely escaped Earth. Oh my god, I completely forgot about the Lost Chronicles until this moment. I should probably finish that. They're struggling to find a ship as many have fled Earth. May believes that she might have some family on the moon. They notice a strange-looking Zaku. This is the Act Zaku. The MS-11 Act Zaku was a part of the Pazoon Project, a top-secret project during the One-Year War. This has magnetic coating and has an improved generator output. It was supposed to come out before the Gelgoog, but it was delayed, hence the MS-11 designation. EFF got more life out of these mobile suits after the war than Zeon. This also helped EFF eventually build the Hyzak. Weapons include a bulb-up gun, a custom beam rifle, the same rifle used by the Hyzak, a 120mm machine gun, a giant bazooka, a large heat hawk, a shield, and much more. Jake could tell that this has magnetic coating just by looking at it. An officer comes over and calls Jake trash for abandoning Earth. A man named Jasto comes over. He seems to know May. Jasto tells him that man is Mallet Sanguine. He's a dick. He mentions the Akzaku was brought over from Pazun specifically for him. This is before EFF inevitably takes control of the asteroid. The red alert goes off on the Thoroughbred. Ford treats the gun cannon team as pawns and doesn't respect teamwork. One Chevet and two Musais are approaching. Ford equips the Gatling gun and launches. Zeon launches some Rick-Dom's Ys. Ford distracts them as they waste their bazooka ammo, while Luce attacks with his beam saber. More move in and Ford unleashes his Gatling gun. The gun cannon attacks the Musais. They pull back so the Thoroughbred can bombard them. Ford and Luce handle cleanup. Miyu is amazed by the power of G5. December 24th. The Battle of Solomon begins. While this is happening, the 16th Autonomous Corps is to take down any reinforcements coming from Granada. In Granada, Jake and May find a ship back to Side 3. They are on the same ship as Mallet Sanguine. Mallet's team is planning on sending reinforcements to help Dolzel at Solomon. Mallet mirrors Ford's attitude in many ways. Luce thinks that Ford's recklessness is going to get him killed one day. He tells Annie that they all came from Augusta on Earth. They ran many simulations and got into fights with other comrades. They were eventually sent to Jaburo, followed by the 16th, and came to space. The Thoroughbred preps for an assault. A Musai launches Mallet's Act Zaku along with some Rick-Doms and Zakus. Luce wants to use the Hyper Mega Launcher, but it still isn't ready. The captain gives him permission to use it, even though it is a gamble. The two Gundams launch. Ford fires at the Act Zaku, but the magnetic coating allows him to dodge the attack. The gun cannons move in, and they tell Ford to watch Luce's back. One Dom rocks two bazookas and aims at Luce, but Ford destroys the unit just in time. Luce takes aim and fires, taking out a Chevet. The output of the beam rifle still sucks, and it couldn't take out the entire fleet. They're going to have to pull back. Zeon just lost their flagship, and they retreated back to Granada. The Thoroughbred needs supplies, but the ship must remain in the sector. The Gundam pilots will head out on a supply mission with Miyu acting as commander. The team is heading to Von Braun. They dock as a civilian ship not to be seen by Zeon. Anaheim Electronics is providing the supplies for the team. They have to be on the lookout for Zeon's spies. The head of AE currently is Tracy Lamore. She was Luce's instructor when he was a Saberfish pilot. She looks at Ford and says, "Who's this prick?" While they transfer supplies, Mallet's team is scouting. Outside of Von Braun, they detected a suspicious shuttle docking, and they are ordered to check it out. They spot shuttles moving out, and Mallet instantly fires. They didn't even inspect their ships before firing. Luce and Ford launch in the Gundam. This is the first time Ford has experienced combat on the moon. Ford draws the enemy away from the ship, but the heaviness of the moon gravity is messing with him. Ford and Mallet begin a melee assault, but for the first time, Ford fears death. He returns to the ship, but one takes a big hit. They were able to retreat. Miyu notes that they are great when the two of them actually work as a team. Luce wants the war to end because he promised he wouldn't smoke until then, and he really wants to smoke. Tracy sends a lasercom message that there is word that Revel and Degwin may be seeking peace, and the war may be ending soon, but to watch out for enemy forces coming from Granada. She tells them not to be a hero this late in the game. The Granada fleet is going to expose themselves to the Fetties by luring them into a debris field. Mallet and his team are to attack once they fall for the trap. The commander asks about the new mobile armor. Mallet thinks that his Akzaku can handle it. The commander calls him arrogant. Mallet also thinks that new types are Federation propaganda and that Cassilia is wasting her resources. He laughs at the new type mobile armor team. They all launch. The Thoroughbred preps for battle. Luce wants to use the Mega Beam Cannon once again. Miyu is against it, but Kilstein allows it once more. Luce tells Ford not to lose his cool. They're going to head into the debris field and fire the beam cannon before pulling back. Gun cannons will defend the ship. Bro, is that a brow? Is that a brow, bro? Mallet goes for Ford while the new types handle the rest. Luce readies the Mega Beam launcher. Mallet ambushes Ford. He warns Luce. The captain realizes they lured them in. Ford moves towards G4 and fires his Gatling gun. The Brow Bro moves in on them and surround the two Gundams with their wired particle gun bits. Ford runs distraction for Luce. He dodges the bits and attacks the Brow Bro. But remember, the Brow Bro is modular and separates and retreats. Luce charges his cannon. The Akzaku chases G5. Luce reaches unstable levels. He lets it ride for a few more seconds before firing on the Chevet. Ford lured Mallet into Luce's beam path. He dodges, but he is close enough to feel that heat. That's gonna leave a burn. Luce fires again against Miyu's wishes. This causes his backpack to overheat. He needs to eject, but his hatch is jammed. G4 goes up in flames. Ford rushes towards the remains of the Gundam and brings it back to the thoroughbred. Oh, you don't want to look inside that cockpit. Luce's second shot took out the remaining fleet in the debris field. The captain looks at a picture of his dead son and thinks he made the same mistake again. Back at Granada, the new types rush a toasty Millet to the medbay. He keeps saying Gundam over and over again. His Akzaku didn't take too much damage. Yeah, metal usually handles heat better than human flesh. The war is taking a toll on everyone. Solomon is now Kompe Island. Now, Zeon's supply lines to the moon are cut off, and the 16th can use Von Braun as a base of operation. I imagine Char and Kycilia have bailed from Granada to Abaoku by now. G5 is getting a new loadout. Annie and Miyu cry it out. Ford didn't go to Luce's memorial. Miyu tells him that he needs to acknowledge Luce's death. Ford is being a bitch, so Miyu smacks him and tells him to stop being a bitch. She says he is very selfish. What is this feeling? The power of friendship is coursing through my veins! He apologizes to Miyu. That was too quick. I'm not sure he learned his lesson. Garen fires the solar ray and kills Revel and Degwin. At Kompe Island, Kilstein is assigned a mission to escort a Chevette. On board is Side 3's Prime Minister, Darchia Bakarov, and they are escorting him to Granada for a peace treaty. Ford feels weird working with Zeon. They begin their journey back to the moon. And that will do it for this episode. Ford had to learn the hard way about the power of teamwork, and it cost him his comrade in arms. How will Ford now act moving forward? Next time, we will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam's side story, Space to the End of a Flash. Millet will ignore his ceasefire orders and attack the 16th once again, and we will see an alternative universe where Luce lives. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, the power of friendship always wins. Peace.